the moment your paycheck hits your bank account. You have exactly 15 seconds before your brain starts making terrible financial decisions. I'm not kidding. 15 seconds is all it takes for your brain to mentally spend money you haven't even seen yet. Calculating how many times you can order takeout, or whether you can finally afford those shoes sitting in your online shopping cart. But what if I told you that most people are treating their paycheck like a surprise birthday gift instead of the powerful wealth-building tool it actually is? My name is Zen, and I've spent years helping people figure out what to do with their money the moment it shows up in their accounts. Most people think financial milestones are just arbitrary numbers rich people made up to make the rest of us feel inadequate. But there is actual psychology and mathematics behind why certain amounts of money create dramatic shifts in your day-to-day existence. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 net worth milestones that change everything. Not just your bank balance, but your brain chemistry, your career, and your future. Milestone 1. The first $10,000. The death of survival mode. Picture this. It's 3 a.m., you're staring at the ceiling, and your mind is racing through every possible disaster. Your car could break down, your laptop might die, or your pet might need surgery. This is the reality for millions of people living paycheck. 2. Paycheck, where every financial decision is a careful calculation and every unexpected expense is a potential catastrophe. You're constantly playing defense with your money. The first real game changer isn't $1 million, it's $10,000. When you accumulate your first $10,000, the transformation is subtle but powerful. The first thing that changes is your relationship with risk. When you have zero savings, every decision feels dangerous. Moving cities, or even taking a vacation, feels like it could leave you devastated. But with $10,000, those same decisions feel manageable. You aren't necessarily going to quit your job and become a professional juggler, but you might finally have the confidence to ask for that promotion you've been thinking about for months. There's also a biological shift. Financial security actually reduces cortisol levels, your body's primary stress hormone. This means $10,000 doesn't just change your finances, it literally changes how your body responds to daily challenges. Think about a check engine light. If you're broke, that light is a countdown to disaster. If you have $10,000, it's just a mild annoyance. This shift from panic to annoyance has ripple effects. You sleep better, you're more productive, and you're more patient with your family. Most of this benefit doesn't come from spending the money, but from knowing it's there. This is the emergency fund effect. An emergency fund isn't really about emergencies. It's about peace of mind. $10,000 covers the vast majority of unexpected expenses, like car repairs, medical bills, or short-term job loss. It gives you 3 to 6 months of breathing room, allowing you to be selective about your next opportunity, instead of desperately accepting the first offer that comes along. But the hardest part isn't saving the money. It's developing the identity of someone who saves. Most people treat saving like a temporary diet and eventually burn out. Successful people see it as becoming a different type of person. Saving your first $1,000 is brutal and requires constant willpower, but by the time you're hitting $10,000, the process feels almost automatic. You start seeing money as a tool that multiplies your options rather than something that just disappears every month. Milestone 2. $20,000. Cresting the hill of momentum. Once you hit $20,000, everything changes even more. If $10,000 is about survival, $20,000 is the first major threshold that separates those who will build significant wealth from those who will stay stuck for decades. Think of it like pushing a heavy boulder up a hill. Getting it started is the hardest part. You're straining and sweating with very little progress. But $20,000 is the turning point where that financial boulder finally crests the hill. Everything before this feels like you're pushing against gravity. Everything after feels like gravity is working in your favor. The difference here isn't just psychological, it's the math. Let's say you're saving $1,000 a month, with an 8% return. Getting to your first $20,000 takes about 19 months of discipline and sacrifice. But your second $20,000 only takes about 17 months. Why? Because you've got that first $20,000 working alongside you, generating its own returns. By the time you get to $400,000, you can generate $20,000 in just 5 months automatically. The first milestone feels impossible, but every milestone after gets progressively easier. At $20,000, you gain what I call walking away money. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're trapped. Your boss could be toxic, but you can't leave because you need the next check. This puts you in a weak negotiating position. But $20,000 means you could quit tomorrow and survive for months while finding something better. You start negotiating from a position of strength. Just having that money changes your demeanor. You become more confident and assertive, and people notice. This often leads to better assignments and more money, creating a positive feedback loop. You also start seeing opportunities instead of just threats. Before, a friend starting a business was just an interesting story. Now, you can actually consider if it's worth an investment. You stop sweating the small stuff, like whether to buy organic bananas, and start focusing on the big decisions that actually swing your net worth, like housing costs and investment strategy. But here is where most people mess up. They hit $20,000, feel that shift, and immediately blow it on a new car or an expensive vacation. Don't do this. That $20,000 is not a reward for good behavior. It's the seed for generational wealth. Milestone 3. Escaping the consumer traps and building the machine. The third milestone isn't a single number, but a state of being where you've successfully avoided the traps that keep most people broke and have automated your way to freedom. To get here, you have to understand the two biggest anchors dragging people down: car payments and the housing market. The car payment trap. The average new car payment in America has crossed $700 per month, with many exceeding $900 or even $1,200. People are signing 7 or 8-year loans just to make the monthly number look reasonable. But they're not just lowering the payment, they're destroying their wealth. If someone buys a $55,000 truck with a 7-year loan, they'll pay about $67,000 for the loan, plus insurance, fuel, and maintenance, totaling over $130,000 over 7 years. At the end, they own a vehicle worth maybe $15,000. That is wealth destruction with cup holders. If they'd invested that $800 monthly payment at 8% instead, they'd have over $70,000 in the bank. The third milestone is when you realize a car is just a tool to get from point A to point B, and you stop using it as an extension of your identity. Asterisk the housing freeze. We are currently in the most dysfunctional housing market since World War II. Home prices are near all-time highs, while transactions are at a 30-year low. The market is frozen because people who locked in 2.65% mortgages in 2021 are sitting on financial instruments that no longer exist. To move now would mean voluntarily surrendering cheap money for a loan that costs twice as much. The median first-time buyer is now 40 years old, compared to 28 in the 1990s. This delay costs roughly $150,000 in lost lifetime equity. If you're a Maya, someone making a good salary but priced out by a $22,000 income gap for the median home, understand that you are not failing at adulthood. The math is just broken. Right now, the milestone here is realizing that renting and investing the difference is a completely legitimate strategy that outperforms buying an overpriced house in a high-rent environment. The secret: automation. The final step that ties these milestones together is automation. Willpower is like a muscle that gets tired. By Thursday evening, you're too tired to manage your money. This is why you must remove human emotion and laziness from the equation. Successful people have a routine. The moment the paycheck hits, Money moves automatically to savings, then to investments, then to debt. You pay yourself first. If your employer offers a retirement match, that is your first priority. It's a guaranteed 100% return on day one. If you start investing $300 a month at age 25, you'll have about $1 million by age 65. But if you wait until 35, that 10-year delay costs you $600,000. Time is literally money. And you don't need to be a genius to win. You just need a simple, diversified index fund and a system that runs on autopilot. Putting it all together, reaching these milestones, $10,000, $20,000, and eventually the state of automated wealth is about becoming a different person. It's about moving from financial sleepwalking to intentional living. If you're currently staring at a bank balance that looks like a phone number from the 1950s, don't panic. Start small, stay consistent, and remember that the person you become while saving your first $10,000 is infinitely more valuable than the money itself. Treat your money like the wealth-building tool it is. Instead of monopoly money you found in your couch cushions, automate everything. Stick to the plan, and in 5 years, you'll be laughing at how simple it was, while everyone else is still wondering where their money disappeared to. If this helped you see money differently, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It genuinely makes a difference. I'm Zen, and I'll see you in the next one.